On December 31st, 2021, I packed whatever I could fit into Mr. Man's Mazda and said goodbye to my birthplace of Brooklyn, New York. And I want to share the 7 reasons why I made the big decision to leave the hustle and bustle of New York City behind for Connecticut. I know you guys probably want the tea on why I moved out of NYC. I have many reasons. It actually wasn't because the rent was too damn high. I still had some time before rent was over $1,000. I think I was paying $937 for a 1-bedroom apartment in a brownstone. I love that apartment. It was so beautiful. Southeast facing windows, the sun, my space. It was just everything to me, and it was just a godsend, honestly. Previous to that, I was living in an illegal basement apartment with one tiny window facing a brick wall. So when I tell you I upgraded, I sure did. But one of the reasons why I moved out of New York City was because my immediate family was no longer there. My sister moved to Jersey, my mom is in Long Island, and so we're kind of spread out. And I was feeling a bit isolated and alone. I'm actually going to do a solo mom date today. I kind of need a break for at least a couple of hours. I need to do some research for YouTube, respond to emails and things like that. So I figure I'll just make a little vlog out of it. All right, this is my hair. Let's moisturize. Ooh, don't mind this. Listen, child, this is the real deal. Another reason why I moved out of New York, or at least my apartment anyway, is because I was afraid of having another nightmarish situation with an upstairs neighbor. I lived on the 2nd floor of a 3-floor brownstone. The floors were squeaky. The last upstairs neighbor that I had, she walked like an elephant. Not only that, she had 2 kids living with her who also walked like elephants. They were just so inconsiderate. I know in New York City, you just gotta take what you can get, but it got to be a bit ridiculous. I actually have a crazy situation that happened where I was just going through it. Her kids were incessant, and they were actually doing it purposefully too. I banged on the ceiling one time, and then they just started stomping all over the place. I called 311 and the cops showed up. I honestly didn't think they were gonna show up, okay? Just hear me out. I've called 311 plenty of times to complain, and not once did they ever show up. They did, and I was kind of taken aback. I was like, oh shit, that's gonna be a problem. When the mom got home and the kids told her that the cops came because I called, it was a nightmare for me. There were times when I was afraid to leave my apartment because I was afraid that she was like gonna be there to jump me or something like that. That was a crazy situation. So yeah, I definitely had to leave that apartment. Actually, it's a funny thing. They moved July of 2021. They found another place somewhere in Coney Island. At least that's what my super told me. And I ended up moving out December 2021. So I did have some peace for the last 6 months of me living in that apartment. I got stories to tell. There is no greater feeling in the world than having some clean makeup brushes. Ooh. Reason number 3 for leaving NYC. I wanted to slow down. New York City was becoming super fast, and I was tired of the hustle culture. It was getting to be too overwhelming for me. Part of me felt bad because I did end up renting a studio out to do like photography and content creation and all that. I spent money on that studio, child. I did not get a return back on my investment. And you know what's so crazy about that situation? Number 1, it was a 5-floor walk up. There was no elevators, and I was on the very top floor because I wanted to make sure there was no one above me. But that wasn't even the issue there. The issue was that the walls were thin and there were people on either side of me. And one of the businesses, this guy was talking all day and he was mad loud. And it was crazy. I think I had 2 clients my entire year. That was a good $10,000 down the drain. I don't even want to talk about my current debt right now because it's something serious, but we'll probably get into that in another video. New York was kind of stressing me out. And I've always envisioned myself having a home, being a homeowner, and having a white picket fence and lots of space to where I can grow vegetables in my backyard, to where I can have dogs and kids running around. New York City was not finna give that to me, not with the amount of space or the lack of space that they give you. Also, in New York, you kind of grow up fast because you kind of have to, and I did not want that for my future kids. And I've always known this. I feel like New York is a great place for single, child-free people who are creative and who have time to waste, money to spend. New York is for those kinds of people. There's some elements of New York that are really great for families, you know, like going to the museum, the different events that they have and things like that. But in terms of like the public school system, in terms of like peer pressure, in terms of being a good kid in a mad city, nah.
What is it? Ostrich, penguin, and kangaroo knuckles.
You're funny. I'm going to a cafe to get some work done. I am excited to be away from the baby and just, you know, take a break from momming for a couple of hours. We found this cute little cafe on Instagram. I like to scope out little cafes all throughout Connecticut to where I can just go and just capture the vibes. It's called Pistachio and it's in New Haven or like the Westville area. So I'm gonna go check that out. Let's go get some work done at Pistachio. I got a chocolate almond bliss latte. It's actually really good. We are here. It is so cute. I wanted to talk about another reason as to why I left New York, and it dealt with safety. I lived in Bedstuy. There was a lot of stuff happening in my area near my train stop. There were like a lot of drug addicts who just posted up right underneath the train. And I felt very unsafe, especially at night when I had to walk home. It was like a 15-minute walk home. And there were even some situations where I was in the train and a mentally deranged person was in my face. I'm not about that life, period. I would sometimes pay for Ubers every time I wanted to leave my house and to come back home. Around the pandemic, there were a lot more issues with the homeless population and the drug population and just the mental illness population. I felt like there were a lot more. I was just very nervous. I watched this YouTuber called Cash Jordan, and he talks all about New York City and like the issues surrounding New York now, and it's a lot, and I'm really glad that I left when I did. That was a life I did not want. I'm gonna get some work done and we'll talk some more. I was trying to make it artistic, but it just wasn't working out. Another reason why I decided to leave New York is because I was ready to close a chapter of my life. I was born and raised in Brooklyn, and I grew up in New York, and so that was all I ever knew. I've traveled all these different places, but there were a lot of memories in Brooklyn that I kind of just wanted to leave in Brooklyn. I had a previous marriage, and what am I trying to say? We actually lived in that apartment together for a brief period, and we don't need to talk about Bruno. I just felt like there were too many old memories there, and I wanted to create some new memories. We're gonna do some groceries before we get home. Tonight, Mr. Man has his men's meeting, so we make food for that. All right, I gotta go. Oh. Miss? You okay? All right. All right, give me a... Another reason why I left New York City is because I fell in love with a man from Connecticut. Thank you.
The only reason she left New York was for me.
I think it's okay if you want to follow your heart and just go where it leads you. Sometimes you may open yourself up to some new opportunities. I'm ready to explore many different parts of Connecticut and share the many different parts of Connecticut with you guys. I've lived here now for, I think it's going on 2 years, and it's cute. And I also like the fact that even though I've moved away from New York, I'm not too far. It takes me about an hour and 30 minutes by car, and I can always hop on the Metro North and, you know, get to Grand Central. I'm gonna clean these vegetables, make some guac, getting the food ready for the men's meeting tonight. You know, she'd be finding crumbs. Food is prepped and Mr. Man took it upstairs for his weekly meetings. It is 8 o'clock now, which means we gotta get baby girl ready for bath time and bedtime, and then Hey! Come over here, you little rascal! With all that being said, those were the main reasons why I left New York City. Born and raised in New York, Brooklyn to be specific, I have called that place home for over 30 plus years of my life. And even with an amazing brownstone apartment in the heart of Bedstuy, it was time for me to leave and close out that chapter of my life. Even though I no longer live in Brooklyn, Brooklyn still lives in me. You know what I'm saying? What's the saying goes? You can take the girl out of Brooklyn, but you can't take Brooklyn out the girl. In that song, what? Period. Let me know in the comment section if you've ever had to make a hard decision. And if you did, and you're still kind of hesitant about the decision you've made, just know that sometimes hard decisions lead to the best growth journey for you. With all that being said, I want to thank you all so much for watching and supporting and subscribing to my channel, and I will see you all in the next video. Peace.